Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. You asked and Elmer has responded. Elmer Yuen is joining us and he's going to talk about a few things. First of all, whether China brokered the Saudi Arabia-Iran agreement that took place a few days ago, the implications of that. Also, what happened between the Ukraine-Russia agreement that it had brokered. Third, what is the reality of COVID in China? And fourth, what is China's response going to be for the stories now coming out of United States that COVID did escape out of a lab in Wuhan. So for all these things and more, let's welcome Elmer Yuen. Elmer, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel. How are you, sir?
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to listen to you, Elmer. There were so many people asking what happened to Elmer. It's almost 2 weeks or 3 weeks now since we heard from you. So Elmer, please take it away. This latest accord between Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Iran, two sworn enemies, Sunni versus Shia, appears like there has been some sort of an accord reached and China is claiming credit for it. Should they be claiming credit? What are your thoughts?
Now, this is interesting, of course. These are arch enemy. I mean, one is what, Shiite, and the other, what do you call the other branch of
Sunni.
I mean, this is a 1,000-year-old hatred. So, but the point is this. I think this is how they brokered this deal. You see, Saudi Arabia used to be a big supplier of oil to the United States. And now U.S. is almost self-sufficient. In fact, during Trump's period, they are totally self-sufficient. They don't need to import any oil. So Saudi Arabia lost its biggest customer, which is U.S. So China became their biggest customer because of the volume. And in a way, they are depending on China for this to take up this volume. And China has been imposing this RMB, want them to accept at least partially RMB to pay for the oil. But what happened is Xi Jinping went to Saudi and he really pissed off the Iranian by saying those two islands in the, what is the strait called Hormuz?
Oh, yeah, Hormuz.
Right, by saying that maybe they should, it shouldn't belong to Iran, something like that. But really, Iran got very, very angry. And subsequently, Xi Jinping invited the Prime Minister or President of Iran to visit Beijing. I believe that it's all secret, but this luckily happened to be in the energy business. I think what's going to happen is Saudi Arabia and China will pay for a pipeline going from Saudi Arabia via Iran to Turkmenistan, right? And the Turkmenistan, there are already two pipes, natural gas pipes, going up to Uzbekistan and then Kazakhstan and then into China. That's been operating for more than 10 years. And it's been very successful. It's really helping the Turkmenistan's economy. So they want to make a new pipe for oil and for gas. Sometimes these pipes are interchangeable. You can use them to transport both either oil or gas, because at the end of it, it's really pressure. So they want to build pipelines through Iran, from Saudi Arabia through Iran to connect to the Turkmenistan's pipeline. And it would be a huge business for Saudi Arabia because, they need a replacement for U.S. business. And going through the ocean, it's risky. As we all know, the Malacca is always a risk for Chinese. And going through here, they can have a continuous shipment, low cost. Pipes are much cheaper than these oil tankers. So I believe this is the kind of deal they strike. And Saudi Arabia, because of the money involved, and Iran also need to have those pipelines to ship their oil and gas. So for money, they compromised and they got together. And this is, I believe, how China brokered the deal. They are very good at this kind of thing. In our history, over the last 2,000-3,000 years, we have been like India. We used to have many, many warring states. And these warring states have to make deals. And this is the type of deal the Chinese diplomats are very good at. And I believe it has everything to do with the energy.
So let's for those of you who may have a bit of a difficulty picking up Elmer's accent, what Elmer's saying is that Saudi Arabia is going to build a pipeline, perhaps with China's help, to go through Iran and then from there to Turkmenistan, from Turkmenistan to Uzbekistan to Kyrgyzstan. From Kyrgyzstan, there's an existing natural gas and pipe and crude pipe all the way to China. So if they connect these parts, then essentially there is an easy and cheap way for Saudi oil and gas to go to China. And Saudi has lost its biggest customer, which happens to be the United States. So thank you so much. And this is, I think, business trumps religion, right?
This is huge money involved, right?
Yes,
Especially
yes,
now that the Aramco have gone public, they need to show results on a
yes.
quarterly basis.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. So that's a good thing there. I think India should be concerned. Should India be concerned?
Yeah, of course. There was a proposed pipeline going through Afghanistan, through Pakistan to India, but with this relationship now, it's hard to believe that may happen.
Yes, and also the one thing that India might have thought, that they had a hold over China at the Malacca Strait, that is no longer going to be there. I mean, if China can find another,
how much money China has been spending to protect the Malacca Strait, and also shipping by sea, it's not that expensive, but pipeline is much more cheaper. And then China needs a solution both in oil and natural gas in order to have a cleaner energy. The pollution in China is unbearable.
absolutely true. You're absolutely right on that. So now let's take a quick look at China's efforts to bring about a rapprochement between Russia and Ukraine. And looks like the first proposal did not even get a serious look. What happened, and what do you think is going to happen?
Even though we all know it's not going to be successful, looking at the Zelensky's attitude backed up by the United States and NATO, very tough attitude, never give an inch, never give away 1 inch. So,
Yes.
But on the other hand, China does have a great control on Russia, because Russia Federation right now is in a terrible situation. Imagine, they are getting very little income on their oil and natural gas. The whole Europe basically stopped buying, right? And the China buying is not that big, because what happened, the pipeline.
In fact, India is the biggest buyer of crude.
You happen to be bigger, and then you are not stable, on and off,
yes.
on and off. But overall, the overall income from energy sector is terrible. I mean, they drop. I mean, of course they don't make it public, but I believe it's like they lose at least half of their income. India, the price you pay is like, I heard it's like $30-40 a barrel, yes, while the market is right now $70-80, $60-70 a barrel.
Right. So, huge discount.
And to be honest with you, I don't even believe they make money on you, because Russia is extremely inefficient in pumping out oil and shipping oil. The whole thing is, a bureaucracy is unbelievable. I believe you are paying almost their cost. So it's a terrible business, which means, they're not making money. And the country is depending on China, both on money, all right, meaning US dollars, and also on goods, and especially the supply for the war. And lately you can see that they have this hypersonic missiles hitting the targets more accurately. And this is because probably that they've got some chips from Hong Kong and from China to upgrade their missiles. So, and that they're looking for more weapons, drones, and more missiles, and the material for making missiles. Remember, there was a ship sunk in the Tata Strait, between the Sakhalin and the Russian Far East.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
These ships were shipping them material for the war. They could have landed in Vladivostok, but they went all the way up to Khabarovsk, because over there it's less detected, so they can get on, deliver the goods there, and then ship by railway to whatever all these military factories. So China has a certain say on Russia, certain lean because of Russia's interport. I mean, this situation is reversed since the war. Before, China respect Russia or Putin as his elder brother. now it's the other way around. Putin's come around and then start, what do you call? What's the best word? I mean, I don't want to.
Friendship.
Not friendship, kissing his behind. Kissing Xi
You're
Jinping's
being very
behind.
kind.
So, but anyway, China have certain lean on Russia because it lost the war and have desperate need. But on the other hand, I don't see a successful brokerage of peace. And but in fact, 1 year ago, I've mentioned at the Winter Olympic, there was a deal made between Xi Jinping and Putin that China would support Putin almost unlimited. All right, unlimited. So there was a kind of alliance made then, secret alliance. And I believe if the settlement is not successful, if the peace brokerage is not successful, then Xi Jinping and Putin may open up or disclose their secret alliance. They may as well. So this is what I believe. And this alliance, sooner or later, everybody knows there's so much traffic of goods going, military or everything going from China to Russia, or even from Hong Kong. We are afraid of losing our status. There was a Federal Reserve guarantee Hong Kong dollars. You can convert to US dollars. We may lose that privilege altogether. Even the SWIFT, because in the end, there will be a sanction on China and Hong Kong for helping Russia. So that sanction may be as serious as a SWIFT. So it's a mess. But what's going to happen is, I believe they're going to push. Eventually, I'm looking at much further. They're going to push China towards Russia, and the axis country, including North Korea, China, Iran, and then Russia, and then you're also looking at part of the South America, like Venezuela or even Argentina, or now even Brazil may be siding with this bloc.
Wow. Thank you so much. Now, one thing that I see from all this stuff is that the pipeline between Russia and China, remember we are talking about it going through, really terrible temperatures, and it needs to be heated. That's expensive and so on. Looks like now they're practically given it up. They can't do it, which is why they're doing the Saudi Arabia-Iran pipeline. The weather there is not that bad. So I guess that is going to happen. Now, Hong Kong, you said that in United States might take that peg off of the Hong Kong dollar. That is the equivalent of a nuclear reaction, right? I mean, the whole Hong Kong trade to China will collapse at that point of time. Do you think China? Do you think? Sorry. Do you think Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will still take RMB after that?
Taking RMB, this is the kind of deal because when I was in China, I talked to these people. I know what they have in mind. They want Saudi Arabia to receive RMB, to accept RMB. And of course, Saudi Arabia also have a need for Chinese goods. And they can share with other Arab countries to buy Chinese goods and use part of those RMB. And what do you do with the remaining? I think Xi Jinping will guarantee them, if you don't have too much at the end of the year, you may be able to take gold for delivery. Both Russia and China have not sold any gold in the last 40 years. In fact, they've been buying. All their gold company, everything they produce, the state would buy up. And also they've been buying gold outside country. So they are using the gold to support RMB as a reserve currency or as a trading currency. So this is a great possibility. And also talking about Russia in the north is selling China expensive oil and gas at least 2 to 3 times the market price. And Xi Jinping, because of faith, he signed the deal. So he can only buy on a limited basis. And of course, that pipe in Siberia is a disaster, and it doesn't even pay to operate. So Russia losing all its pipeline, both in Europe and also in Asia. It's a terrible situation. This country, in fact, those pipe, most of the engineering is done by BP and Shell and these foreign companies. Russians are very, very weak when it comes to actual working. It's a terrible country.
Well, that's that for Russia and Ukraine. So I guess Russia doesn't really have a lot of options left. They may have to, go and sit down and negotiate something and come away with what they can claim as a victory. And we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Thank you, Elmer. Now, lastly, the China COVID situation. Where do things stand? Then we'll talk about US after that. Go ahead.
China and what situation?
COVID.
Oh, COVID. Oh my God. Yeah. COVID has never stopped. Only the news media like us get so tired. We don't talk about it anymore.
Right.
Both the major and also these social media. We get so tired because every day, you cannot use it every day, but it's never stopped. And it's still peaking. So what China now claimed is it's a flu. They call it a flu, all right? But according to the expert, you don't need to build a constant separation quarantine center with flu. Nobody. They are building flu. They're spending a lot of money. Even Beijing, every day, thousands of patients, and they claim we have headache and this. The symptom of COVID is no different from flu, except you have to do a test to show otherwise. So the death, huge cover up, and we're still thinking it's so huge. I believe the overall entire China have way past the 2% death. I mean, all the elderly people, unfortunately, it's very bad. But the communists are so good in covering up, and they've done the same in the 1950s, where I would say they would prove about 50 million people died. This is it, and at that time, China had a total population of less than 600 million, and this is how bad. Almost 10% of the people died of hunger. You cannot believe it. And all the grain storage are full, but nobody dares to open it up for the hungry, starving people. So the flu in China, so the COVID in China is still going on. And they don't have an effective vaccine at all, and then they don't have a cure. So young people can stand after a week or so can recover, not the elderly. It's very, very serious.
Thank you so much. And now let's take a look at what is happening in the United States. Slowly but steadily, more and more organizations, 3 government organizations have now said that the COVID leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China. So Fauci is still batting for China. He's not yielded. But I don't think it matters now, because more and more voices are coming up and saying that this is what happened. Now, there is that problem. I don't know what US is going to do about it. Then there is the problem of China helping Russia, and I don't know what US is going to do about it. On top of these two, US has its own self-inflicted problem, which is the failing banks. Some banks may fail. Still, we don't know. The last word hasn't been said. What do you think US is doing today, Elmer?
I wanted to go a little bit separate. The two issues are not exactly compatible. About the U.S., now, of course, everybody understands it's from the lab. But they just passed a law last week that they have to disclose all the documents on the COVID, on China. So it's the law, and unanimous decision by both House and passed, which means everything will come out. And you remember the Energy Department was one of the last department to say that it came from the lab. In fact, this is I believe they did this research, the analysis at this near Berkeley. Near Berkeley, they use some kind of artificial intelligence. So not only we're talking about from the lab, they are science, all right? They may be proof that it's a weapon. It's a bioweapon, all right? They feed all the information, their information, and it's the machine, it's the computer that come up with the result. So not only is from the lab, it will all the document, finally all the hidden document will show it's a bioweapon. And I believe that is going to piss off the U.S. public, everybody in the Congress. They are already in the path of no return, the U.S. and China relationship. And of course, with the Taiwanese, U.S. is providing a lot of help to the Taiwanese and really raising the Taiwan's diplomatic level by the U.S. So going on to the banking crisis in U.S., I'm the one. This is about 30 years ago. I banked with Silicon Valley Bank. All right, I'm very close to their CEO and so on at that time. So what happened is, I believe that it's really not the bank's problem. The bank is well managed. They have not broken any rules. It's a liquidity problem. They have bought too many bonds. All right, and most of them are very good bonds. Government bonds, treasury, and so on. So they bought too many. And in the short period of time, last Thursday, they didn't have time to dispose it or liquidate it. And I believe they have contacted Yellen, U.S. Treasury, and somehow Biden and Yellen did not take them too seriously. And as a result, they didn't help them. In fact, they could have taken over those bonds and give them a loan or give them an overdraft. Very simple. And those bonds are mostly government, U.S. treasuries. So it's only a matter of time.
There's no danger of default. Yeah.
So there's really, unfortunately, I think it's a mismanagement on Janet Yellen and also the Federal Reserve by not helping them out. And then I don't think it's ended yet. Looks like on the surface that people are happy because they can withdraw all their deposit, even above $250 million, $250,000.
$1,000, right?
Yeah, but on the other hand, it has caused certain damage, and in fact, this damage is spreading to Europe. The last I heard is Credit Suisse is because people start worrying. Then they withdraw money from any bank.
Run on the bank. Yeah.
Had a rumor. So the so-called, it's another virus. This virus has spread, and it could be quite serious. We don't know in U.S. at least it's calm, but in other countries, many countries people woke up and say, I'd rather withdraw my money and put it in U.S. Treasury. I get much higher interest rate, and the interest rate is still going up, and I don't have to worry at all. So this is, I think, happening right now.
Thank you so much, Elmer. As always, a library trove of information. And wherever you are, stay safe. And we'll be back again with Elmer in a couple of weeks' time or sooner if something breaks out. Thanks once again. Namaskar.
Thank you for your interview. Thank you again. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye.